Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on our United show today, Devil's Advocate, and today I'm joined by a fantastic group of guests here today to preview one of the biggest games in English football, Manchester United versus Arsenal. And this is a massive game for both clubs in both terms of their ambitions for what they have for the rest of the season. Today, I'm joined by a great panel of guests, as I said. So to the right of me, I'm joined by Dylan Donnelly from United All Day. And below me, I'm joined by Zeki from Madrid United. And beside Zeki, we are joined again, same as last night, by Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast regular and Arsenal fan, as we can see, he's the Arsenal fan representing Arsenal coming on the United show today. We're joined by William Bryant. And so again, look, we are joined by a fantastic panel of guests here this evening. So, lads, look, I'm going to get straight into it because, look, it's still fresh in the mind for us Manchester United fans this week. This week, Manchester United were defeated 2-1 at Old Trafford by Sheffield United. At the moment, people are branding them the worst team in Premier League history at the moment, and the statistics would back that up. And look, I think for this game, it was very fresh in the mind, and a game that many Manchester United fans, though we thought we'd win quite easily. I know I did. I thought, look, it's a game Manchester United should win quite handily. Unfortunately, defeated 2. And look, for me, I think it was, in terms of Manchester United's title ambitions, it kind of did really kind of hit us. It did really kind of hit us this week, and I'm still kind of really upset about the game. But Dylan, I'm going to come to you first, kind of with regards to that game, because like when you consider Manchester United, we were top the league, well, second in the league, but we had the chance to go back top going into this game. For you, do you think because of Manchester United's current form, do you think maybe going into this game against Sheffield United during the week that we had that air of complacency about us?
I think it was partly that, but I also think that Sheffield United have been quite unlucky this season. Where they're placed in the league, I think Dean Henderson and replacing him with Ramsdale, I think that was a big blow to Chris Wilder, and I think they've been unlucky, maybe losing by the odd goal. I think their league position isn't a fair representation of where they are. I think they will go down. I don't think they're definitely not the worst Premier League team of all time. I think there's a multitude of factors why we lost. I think we've had a couple of games like this during Ollie's tenure. It's just a bit of a kick in the teeth, and a reminder to United fans like myself and you and Zeki that we aren't the finished article yet, and there's going to be loads of bumps along the road. But I think our home form is still a problem under Solskjaer. That's our 6th defeat at Old Trafford this season, and that's our 4th league defeat. And if we want to be challenging for the title, as we are in a title race, an unlikely title race, that's definitely a game that we should be winning. But I think the team that Ollie picked was wrong. I think Mata and Van de Beek should have been included. And I think Matic shouldn't have been playing. I think Fred or McTominay providing a little bit of pace. And I think Tellez as a left back provided no natural weight. I think if Fred and Luke Shaw started that game together, I think we would have won that game convincingly.
Yeah, look, I'd be honest, I looked at that starting 11, right? And I seen the lineup, and I seen that like the centre back pairing of Maguire and Tunsebia. I was quite happy about that. I think like though Axel's getting a game, it'd be good to him to play himself into a bit of form. We'll get on to kind of the goals and stuff like that in a minute. But like I thought I was happy about that. I was happy to see Luke Shaw getting much deserved rest because he's played a lot of football lately. And I thought Alex Tellez, like look, he has enough quality to play against Sheffield United. Then you look at the midfield three of Matic, Pogba, and Fernandes. That was our first team midfield last season, and we beat Sheffield United quite handily at Old Trafford with that midfield. So like when you look at that midfield selection, you can understand why Ollie kind of went with that. Then obviously you look at Greenwood, Martial, Rashford. That was the front three that hammered Sheffield United last season at Old Trafford. So I think Ollie kind of went to that team on the basis of previous games, and to give obviously the likes of McTominay and Fred a rest with kind of Arsenal in mind this weekend. But like when you look at individual performances, really let us down. Yeah. I think massively. I think for the 2 goals, I think lack of desire, lack of commitment, things you'd expect from a professional footballer when you consider what you learn at a young age. Like what you learn at a young age, like at grassroots level. Simple little things like tracking back. Simple little things like when you're under pressure in the back line, you boot it into Rose Ed. I know that from playing centre half. I like to play out from the back myself, right? I'm one of them type of centre halves. But when you're under pressure like that, you get rid of the ball, you dump it. It's simple as that. And look, simple mistakes. I think Anthony Martial, again, I think his time is up at Manchester United. I think he's a player who is just too inconsistent. Like, I think it's just one of them things where his time has come. I think like there's too many times he's been a passenger in this team, and why do we have to be accommodating passengers? I think it's about time that when you've seen when Man United have played well this season is when we played Cavani, Rashford, and Greenwood up top on the right, or Paul Pogba in the attacking midfield role. So when you consider that, I think Anthony Martial, that game finished him. I remember we were all talking after the game.
No.
I think he's done at this club. Like, I honestly think he's when you consider how many times he's stunk out the club this season.
Rashford was worse than him the other night, Keane.
What?
Rashford was worse than him the other night.
Oh, look, I'm not excusing Marcus Rashford. I thought that he played poorly as well. Trust me, I'm getting to him too. Like what I'm saying is, when you look at inconsistencies this season and you look at production this season, yes, Rashford's been inconsistent, but Rashford has a higher goal scoring tally than Martial this season, and goal contributions in terms of assists too. So, like, Martial, I think, like, he's been at the club since 2015, and we're still talking about we shoehorn him into the team.
I've actually just done a good piece on him for Dale over at Stratty News that hopefully will go out this evening, and it's basically just the enigma of Anthony Martial and how Solskjaer has basically reinvigorated him and reinvented him. But as you said, and Phil Brown's touched on this a lot with Callum and their podcasts and their blogs and videos for Beyond the Pitch. Martial is very streaky, so if he bangs in a goal against Arsenal, he could go 5 or 6 games scoring. You know what I mean? He scores and he plays in fits and starts. And I say Zeki and Will would probably agree with us in terms of that. It's the same as a lot of strikers in the Premier League. It's a bit like Lacazette at the minute. Lacazette's in good form, but he might, I think he scored in his last 4 or 5 Premier League games, but he could probably go on a barn run of 7 or 8 games, and then he could go and get 5 or 6. I think that's quite common in modern day football. You don't really have the likes of Vardy, or besides Vardy and Keane and maybe Aguero when he's fully fit, and Rashford's contributing nearly every second game or every game. But I think it's quite common now in the Premier League because of the quality of the defence that players and strikers go a couple of games without scoring goals.
Yeah, like, that's true. Like, the defensive record, like, in league are good, but when you consider, like, Martial's been at the club since 15-16, and like he's still delivering that level of inconsistencies. Like, Dylan, we've talked on this podcast and we've talked on many other podcasts about where we want to be as a club. Any team that wins a title has a consistent number 9 striker up top. Where it's Liverpool, like, I know he's not a striker, but Mo Salah is very productive up there. He's always scoring goals. You look at, Tottenham, they've Harry Kane. Now look, their defense is crap. That's why they never get near a league. But you look at teams like those City, who are Sergio Aguero, like he's a talismanic figure as a striker. You look at other teams who win leagues in other countries, like Barcelona, obviously, have the Messi, like, he's a generational talent. We all know that. Bayern Munich have Robert Lewandowski, who's a talismanic number 9. You look at Dortmund, who have Erling Haaland. You look at Real Madrid, like, for so many years, Benzema has kind of done so much up front for him, and even when he's not scoring goals, he's still contributing. When you look at Martial, as you said, he does it in spurts. And if Man United are serious and we want to be challenging for the league, we can't be having passengers. Like, if we'd Edison Cavani 5 years ago, we would not be talking about Martial right now, But I think there is just that level of consistency that he's still failing to find, and we're in 2021 now. If we're serious, Dylan, about challenging for titles, how long more can we deal with this level of inconsistency? I think that's a very big problem.
Yeah, I think personally that I think Solskjaer needs to try and give Greenwood. I know people are praising Cavani. I think Cavani's done exemplary since he's come in. He's been, he's only contributed 4 goals in 18 games. I know he's only started. I think he's only started 7 games or 8 games, but his pressing from the front, because Solskjaer is trying to adapt an aggressive press, mostly led by Cavani and Fernandes in comparison to Martial sleepwalking. But I think Greenwood needs to get a proper run as a 9 and maybe let Martial and become maybe a squad player. If he's not going to, but I personally think at the minute that's Martial's ceiling. I don't think he's going to become a world-class player, but I think aspects of his game are world-class. I think his close control. I think his link-up play. I think Man United are a better team with him in the team, with the likes of Rashford and Greenwood, because I think that the three of them scored 62 goals last season together, and they terrorised the Premier League. I think Martial is the best player after Project Restart. The thing again, Keane, if we are going to challenge, we are going to need somebody who's going to sit there in the 6-yard box and get their nose broken for a couple of goals that Martial doesn't like doing, the ugly sides of the game. So we need a Haaland, or we need a striker that's going to get us 30 goals season in, season out if we want to challenge for the league.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And as you said, someone who will break their back to go and score a goal. You need a proper number 9, and we just rallied off there just what them number 9s what they are. So I think yes, for Man United long term, I think if we're looking at challenging for leagues on a consistent basis, you need that talisman.
I think Greenwood's that player.
Yeah, there's still a lot of development to Mason. I think his ceiling is really high. I talked, the lads talked about it on the London Lowdown last night. He's the highest ceiling now. All of our attackers, Mason Greenwood has the highest ceiling in terms of where he can go. And look for me, I think Mason Greenwood has all the ability to reach that. It just remains to be seen whether Ollie plays him in that role. Obviously, probably not this season. We are maybe looking at next season in terms of being Man United's number 9 in that regard. But Zeki, I'm going to come to you obviously about Sheffield United. We obviously talked. We've obviously talked since Wednesday on the mic on the L PlayStation kind of about the game, and we were both kind of frustrated. And look, I think for us, we weren't expecting that loss to come. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But for you, how would you assess United's game against Sheffield?
I think it was more frustrating that the way we lost than the actual result in itself. I think the motivation from the players wasn't there, no desire from the players, from certain players, I should say, actually. And I think it just comes to the difference between us and winning the league at the moment. And I'd say, it's harsh to say it with one player, but I think it is Martial. He's preventing this team from going forward, as in up front. I think we need a player that's going to turn up. I know it's hard to find one at the moment, but it's going to turn up week in, week out. We're not going to win the league basing on a player if he's in form or not. And I think that's going to be the difference between us and a City or a Liverpool at the moment. If we've got a player like Martial who doesn't turn up some weeks, and we're going to drop points. Teams that win the league, they do drop points, but not as often as we could be doing the season if Martial's in the form he's in. So I think that was the main difference between us going to Sheffield compared to what we'll see against City versus Sheffield this weekend. As in, City can put the ball in the back of the net, and I think they've got the mentality to do that.
Yeah, and look, you're exactly right. I think Sheffield, City be watching that Sheffield United game, rubbing their hands, saying, "Lovely, right? We beat them. We're clear." Do you know? And I think you look. I think what we did really lack the other night was kind of a killer instinct. We really lacked a killer instinct where we put teams to the sword. I think when you look at Manchester United's win this season, there hasn't been many games where we've blown a team away in that regard. Now, look, we've played fantastic football. We've played great football this season. I think, when you look at Man United's games this year, they've been entertaining. Even if we go a goal down, you kind of have that feeling. This team, they fight for it. Do you know what I mean? More often than not, they do. They fight for the result. The other night, I kind of got Istanbul vibes. I know we talked about this, Zeki, there on Adam's show. I kind of got Istanbul Başakşehir vibes off that game because of the defensive errors and the kind of lack of chance creation. Joe, with regards to that, I think that's the worst performance I've seen from United since the previous Arsenal game and the Istanbul Başakşehir. I think they're up there, their worst performances this season. Obviously, look at the game against that other small club in London. Do you know that we played? But when you look at this weekend, it's a massive game. And I think for both, as we said, for both sides, Arsenal have their own ambitions to maybe close the gap on the top four. And if Man United, like, we need to win this game to if we're serious about winning the title. No disrespect to Arsenal here, but this isn't the best Arsenal team that we've seen the last couple of years. This is a team in transition. If United don't win this game, they can forget about the league title. They can forget about a title challenge because City won't drop points this weekend. Liverpool won't drop points this weekend. Like, we need to be, if we're serious about this, we need to go to Arsenal and win. Now, I know when you look at Arsenal's United's record at the Emirates the last couple of years, we haven't won 4 out of the last 5. So, like, in the league, so when you look at that, we have to win this game. Like, I think even the draw or loss here is unthinkable for me. I can't be able to take it a draw or loss here, because if we want to be serious about this league, we do need to go here and get 3 points. No questions asked. You look at other teams who challenge for the title. You look at likes of Liverpool and Manchester City. They don't go to any game and take a point. They want to win every single game. That's the relentless mentality that they've had over the last couple of years. If you're serious about winning the Premier League, I know we're in a kind of weird time and we're in a kind of a COVID environment at the moment. Regardless of that, United, if you want to win, you need to be beating the so-called top 6. You need to be winning them games. No, like, that's what needs to happen. Absolutely. But William, I'm going to come to you. Obviously, kind of on the Arsenal front here, because yourselves, there was a period this season after you beat us at Old Trafford this year. Arsenal were obviously on a high at that point, and then it all went downhill from there for a couple of months. And now obviously Arsenal are 6 games unbeaten now, and people might talk about opposition, but you can only beat what's in front of you. In that respect, like, for you, how are you feeling about kind of Arsenal's kind of current form, and where's your mind at in kind of Arsenal's current situation?
In terms of our current form, in the last 6 games, second best in the league, only behind Manchester City. You're looking at about only 2 goals conceded in that time. We're playing quite well. I feel like there has been definitely some improvement than when we continue to lose after we beat ye 1-0. I feel like this is a better team right now than was the team that played ye at Old Trafford. I feel like we're playing way better, and there's some games that we're getting some really scintillating football and creating some great chances. However, there is still some games then in between that we're not creating as many chances, and this time we're scraping a few wins here and there. It's hit and miss. United will be obviously our biggest challenge to date. Southampton was quite a big challenge, but they had actually started to drop recently. If you started looking at their record, they've only scored like 2 goals in their last 4 or 5 games now. So they weren't as strong as they were. This will be the proper game to see kind of, right, where are we in regards to if we ever want to, not ever, but if we want to challenge for, say, the top 4 this year, or where we're going to end up. Do I think right now we'll get top 4? No. I still think we're a bit off it. I think there are teams that are better overall, but you will see teams drop points as well that are above us. And I feel like currently we're in the best form, but that can change with a drop of a dime. You've seen that with other teams. Look, I'm hopeful that we can keep it up against G on the weekend. I know it'll be a tough game, but we'll see. It depends on what Man United turn up, and it also depends what Arsenal turn up and what your lineup is.
Do you think?
As well.
I'm just going to ask you there, William, because I've been talking to a couple of Arsenal fans. I'm talking to a couple of United fans this weekend, and an Arsenal fan actually said to me that he might see Mikel Arteta go back to the back 5 because of how well it worked at Old Trafford.
No.
And because Man United struggle against a low block.
Yeah, no, I understand that as well. But we're looking to move forward in terms of our style of play. If you go back to what worked previously, this isn't the same game as it was in November. Different players are playing better than they were then, and different players are playing a lot worse. If you try and implement the system that worked very well back then and put in, say, the same personnel, say we finally see Lene come back in, it just wouldn't work. The players aren't in form. They're not used to playing that way. we've slowly but surely gotten into our new style of playing with a newer formation, with like the double pivot and the one attacking midfielder in terms of Smith Rowe. It would just change our whole style of play. And yes, that could cause you trouble, but then we'd have to go back to it and it could cause us harm down the line when we have to play other teams. I'm not in regard to changing that system just for this game. I'd rather go out and play how we've been playing the last few weeks, because that's what would give me the most confidence, and that's what I feel Arteta is trying to achieve for the future. I feel like he will start to change it again, which when we're talking about Odegaard, when he coming in, we'll change the system there, but that won't be in the United game. We'll go with double pivot.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a big reality check with both teams. Depending with managers, is Solskjaer brave enough to not go back to the McTominay thread and go all out, and is Arteta brave enough to stick to this style of play he's been developing over the last couple of weeks? I think for both managers it'll be something that they're both worried about, is getting beat. Both of them obviously playing for the clubs and knowing how big this game used to be and still is, especially with pressure from the fans on both managers who are still fairly new and unexperienced. So I think they're both going to be worried about what's going to happen. So it'll just be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we just got a comment in there from Shane Dowley, who is a weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast regular and regular on Devil's Advocate. He says, if Arsenal come and try to play on the front foot, we'll kick their head in on the break. I would not have said the way kick their head in. I would not have phrased it like that. But Joe, I think if there's ever an opportunity for Man United to exploit Arsenal, I think if Arsenal come out and try to play on the front foot, and then we use our pace on the break, we could really hurt them, especially if they play David Luiz at centre half. I think if they come out and play on the front foot, we could hit them on the break. I think that could be a very opportunistic way for United to win the game, especially when you have Edison Cavani's movement up front and how he makes space for others. I think that would be something that Man United can maybe look at in terms of exploiting Arsenal if they do play that expansive game that they're trying to play under Arteta. Then again, look, if they go back to a defensive style, like the proof is in the pudding how to beat United. Do you know what I mean? You sit with a low block, you're organised defensively, and you grind out a result, and eventually then you break United down. United will run out of gas, and you can win the game. Like, the proof's there. Like, it's happened this season many times. Like Spurs done it. They played a low block and then just bang, 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 hit us on the counter-attack. Crystal Palace played a low block, pace up front, hit us where it hurts. Like when you look into this situation, it's it is just one of them things, So it's just one of them things where United just have to, I suppose, be cautious in their approach, but also, just obviously have the right personnel, which I know I'll ask the lads about, later on, on the show, kind of with regards to it. Now, look, we're going to just move on further on the show, because I know we talked about Sheffield United kind of long enough in the game and on the show about that game. I kind of just want to kind of deflect my mind away from that, because I'm getting depressed kind of thinking about that game at the moment. But William, I was going to come to you first on the signing of Martin Odegaard. It's something you touched on there. Obviously, look, he's coming on loan from Real Madrid. He flourished at Real Sociedad recently, and look, he's a fantastic player. He broke into professional football at the age of 15, and he's really showed his quality since then. How he's just moved up levels. Since he's kind of made the professional stage. But for you, how happy are you about the signing, and what role do you maybe think he might have for Arsenal in the future?
Honestly, I'm very delighted that he's came here on loan. I feel like he will help an awful lot release the burden of Emile Smith Rowe and all the weight that's been on the shoulders of another young boy in terms of him. What I'm delighted about is it's another attacking player which will help just progress the way we were trying to move forward. We have been really lacking in terms of, we were lacking at least until Smith Rowe came in that attacking midfield area. So what Odegaard brings is another player who's able to basically put the key in the door and unlock the opponent's defenses. And when he's not doing that, he can just pick a really good pass and keep everything moving forward. Another good reason, he'll be young, he'll be hungry. He's obviously been at Real Madrid for a number of years now, but he's gone out on a few loans. He went to Real Sociedad on loan, obviously, last year. And now then went back to Real Madrid. He obviously wants to play football, but wasn't getting the chance at Madrid, which you will see with a lot of youngsters that they bring in because they have so many world superstars. So the fact that he's able to come to the Premier League, he'll be fit, he'll be hungry, he'll be ready to come in and prove that he wasn't just a flash in the pan when he was 15. He's still got immense amount of talent, and hopefully he'll be able to do the business. I think against lower teams, it will give us the ability to go from a double pivot to the single pivot of Thomas Partey with Odegaard next to Smith Rowe, or you could even see Odegaard next to Dani Ceballos, who would be able to move forward into more of a free roaming 8 role, which would be a bit of a coincidence considering they're both loaned from Real Madrid. So the two Real Madrid loanees playing together for Arsenal, which would be very strange to see. But it gives me a lot of optimism that the creativity will be a bit more solved rather than seeing Willian, who hopefully I don't have to see much longer in an Arsenal jersey, because my God, that is absolutely terrible.
I'm just going to come to Dylan just with a comment in there from Shane Dowley. He says, will Ollie play McFred tomorrow? Do you think he's learned to be braver in the big games? Oh, shit, Dylan, you're muted 1 second there. Yeah, work away.
I think he will go with McTominay and Fred, judging by the way he approaches big games. And I think he'll start the two of them, but I think he'll play Pogba on the left. I think he might. Yeah, I think he'll try and squeeze Pogba in there as well. I believe Pogba will probably come in for Martial, but I think he has to go with McTominay and Fred against Arsenal, especially the way Arsenal have played and like the press aggressively, and considering Solskjaer continues to try and adapt playing out from the back, considering we don't have the personnel to do so, and we create a lot of our own goals. So I hope tomorrow I don't see Harry Maguire changing directions with indicators in his own back four, giving away cheap possession, because Arsenal will punish us, especially with the way they're playing at the minute.
Yeah, look, I think that when you look at it, like, I think one thing I'd like to see tomorrow, because I know there's talks and he's going to be fit tomorrow. So I'd like to see Boye play beside Maguire, because that allows us then to only play one of McTominay and Fred, and allows us to play Pogba in the middle, with behind Fernandes. You know, I think when Lindelof, Maguire play there, we have to compensate for their lack of pace at the back, and you have to play like both McTominay and Fred there. Do you know? So for me, yes, I'd like to see maybe Fred and Pogba tomorrow. I'd like to see that in front of. I think
you got to start. I think you got to start McTominay tomorrow.
Yeah, like you can either start one of them. Like Fred has been fantastic. McTominay's been fantastic this year. So it's either one of them. It's just kind of a toss of the coin, like really, like, you know, in that regard. But for me, I think if you start Boye tomorrow, you don't play McFred in front of him. Then that's too defensive. I think if you start Boye, you go with one of McTominay and Fred beside of Paul Pogba, and then obviously again, I'm going to say this on this 1 year anniversary and signing for Manchester United, the best midfield player in the world, Bruno Fernandes. You know, you play Pogba and Fernandes. So you play either one of McTominay and Fred behind the Pogba and Fernandes, let them two go and do damage. But yeah, it's interesting what you say about Odegaard, William. I think it'd be interesting to see what the role of Emile Smith Rowe is kind of in these next couple of weeks when Odegaard comes in and gets full kind of match fitness. It'd be interesting just to see kind of where Smith Rowe's role kind of develops in the next couple of weeks. But something I'm interested to see just from an outside point of view, you know, in that regard.
Personally, what I'll be interested to see, because obviously I've said about double pivot, is in the United game if he actually does start Odegaard. I don't think personally he should. I think Emile Smith Rowe starts there. But we'll also have the problem on the left wing, because with Aubameyang gone, then you have the choices that do you start Nicolas Pepe, who's been there? He obviously doesn't fancy giving Martinelli the full 90 minutes between injuries, and just the way things have been going for him, lack of match fitness. He obviously doesn't fancy starting him yet, which is fair. Could you possibly see Emile Smith-Rowe coming in off the left wing? Kind of like, not into the exact same vein, because obviously he's probably one of the best players that play in that position, the same way Jack Grealish does, trying to find that type of space there. But that's the only way I could see the two of them playing together in this game, because the way you talk about McFred, I see Arsenal playing a midfield 2 double pivot of Partey and Xhaka as the two of them to try and break up the play against you and try and then hit you pretty fast, almost on the counter attack. You see, I feel I'd be more worried and it sounds weird coming against it, because you're all like, oh, we can't play McFred. I'd be more worried seeing McFred. I don't know why. It just makes me feel like you're more chances of hitting us on the counter attack with the two of them. I think personally, after seeing Tuanzebe play against Sheffield United, that fills me with confidence that it will be Lindelof and Bailly. Now, not Lindelof and Bailly, Lindelof and Maguire. My apologies, because I would have felt like that's him resting Lindelof because he doesn't want Lindelof to play 2 games in a week. That's my feeling. I know Bailly had a little knock, but it's also like, is he definitely back fit? Do you know?
Yeah, all he said in his presser today.
Okay, so, but look, it's my opinion that he wouldn't have rested Lindelof against Sheffield United if he wasn't going to play Saturday. That's how I feel.
Yeah, look, it's quite possible. Like, Lindelof has a back problem and he doesn't want to be playing him 2 games in a week. Like, you know, it's common knowledge. Now, I took obviously Eric Bailly as well. He's someone who's made of glass. Can he, like, you look at the 2 games, Sheffield United or Arsenal, which one would you rather play him? I'd rather play him against Arsenal, because obviously at the time of thinking Sheffield United or Sheffield United, like, you know, like, Arsenal are slightly superior, like, do you know, like, they're a superior team, like, in the table, like, do you know what I mean? And obviously a bigger club, like, and more quality up front. So you would play Eric Bailly against Arsenal rather than Sheffield United, you know. But yeah, like, it's interesting to see kind of what Ollie does. Even people are saying he might go back to the back 3. Please God, I don't hope we do that. That'd wreck my fucking head. But look, it's interesting to see both managers and kind of how they approach the game tomorrow. But the next topic conversation tonight is, it was actually brought up to me on another podcast tonight, so I'm going to have to bring it up here. Is with regards, obviously, it's the 1-year anniversary of Manchester United signing Bruno Fernandes. And obviously, look, there's a lot being said about Bruno. People are calling him Penandes, they're calling him a penalty merchant, they're calling him overrated. All of it, I think, look, again, is false propaganda. But you can't understate the impact he's made in Manchester United in 12 months at the club. Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, I think I don't know if it was, do you know, if it was mind games in his part today, but he talked about Manchester United and he talked about the transfer fee that Manchester United paid for Bruno Fernandes. £47 million and Manchester United paid for Bruno Fernandes. And when you consider higher transfer fees that Man United have paid in for midfielders, he's actually a couple of million less than Man United paid for Fred. We pay 52 for Fred, we pay 47 for Fernandes. When you consider Arteta said it was a big transfer fee and that's what you get for big money, I just wanted to address these comments because I think it might have been gamesmanship on Arteta's part, obviously to try get one over, you know, on United in that regard. And look, every manager has the right to do so. But I'm just going to come to Dylan on these comments. Do you think these comments are kind of out of order from Mikel Arteta in terms of the big transfer fee he's kind of talking about when you consider Arsenal paid £72 million for Nicolas Pepe?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like Arteta to be like that in the press. I don't know. I think it might have been a slight jibe, but you know, considering Arsenal's transfer dealings for the last number of years, they've been a bit like United's. Besides when since Solskjaer came in, they've been excellent in the market, I think. But I think that's what you're going to pay for a good midfielder these days, or even the prospect of a good midfielder. And I think we got Fernandes was a steal at that price. And as you said, look, 28 goals, 17 assists in 52 games. Stats don't lie. I think he's our best player, and I think he's the best midfielder in the Premier League at the minute. And if
Yeah,
you have any
he is.
chance
I
of,
totally,
if
I
you have
totally agree.
any chance of winning anything this season, he's going to be instrumental to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think people talk about his penalties. I need to address this. Like this season, he's more goals from open play than penalties this season. These people need to drop this Fernandez bullshit. Like, because at the end of the day, when you have more goals from open play and penalties, you cannot give a player that name. Like if you're any bit like look at the stats.
How many goals has he scored from penalties this season? 4?
4.
4. He's
Four
only scored 8 penalties since he joined. So that was 4 last season and 4 this season. He scored 16 goals this season, so he scored 12. And he scored 2 direct free kicks. So, that's 9 goals from open play for a midfielder. That's probably up there within the top 5 European leagues for productivity, and that's before we even get to his assists and his leadership. He's a catalyst for everything good that we do.
Yeah, but look, again, people will just have agendas. I know William called him Fernandez the other day. That was just to wind me up. He knew I'd react because I have to come to the defense of it, because when you break it down as you broke it down there, Dylan, people calling him Fernandez is absolutely ridiculous. It just really is. And again, I think it's for some fan bases, especially these Liverpool fans who wish they had a creative midfielder, because Thiago is overrated. Seeing him, he looks left, he looks right, and he still has the ball at his feet, and he takes about 6 fucking touches when he has the ball. So, come back to me when you have a midfielder producing that level of fucking production, as we just mentioned there. Because, I'm not even going to get into it, because Liverpool's midfielders are talentless workhorses. That's what they are. But again, look, I'm not going to get into that, because, look, I'm not going to give them that lot any airtime on this channel. But William, just with regards to your view on Fernandez, for yourself, obviously you've Smith Rowe, who's actually openly said in an interview on Sky Sports last week that he kind of models himself on a player like Bruno Fernandes. For you, do you think is his ceiling really high, in terms of his creativity? And do you maybe think in a couple of years' time, can he maybe develop the numbers that maybe Bruno Fernandes, maybe similar, not maybe just big numbers, but can he maybe reach that level?
I mean, the boy's only 19 years old. His ceiling is pretty much limitless. It's up to him what he does. He's at the time of that interview, he'd created the second most amount of chances in the games that he played. It was only behind Bruno. So if you're saying, can he create the amount of chances as much as Bruno is? He's getting pretty close to it now. There's nobody else in the Premier League other than Bruno and him. Obviously, he still has a long way to go, but he just looks so mature in that position that I feel like he has a very, very high ceiling. And look, I'd like to see him be as good as Bruno Fernandes one day, because obviously right now, Bruno is the best midfielder in the world right now. About three games ago, but give and take, he has about 2 or 3 bad games, and then he'll have about 10 great games in a row. But every good midfielder has that. Yeah, look, honestly, I feel like Emile Smith-Rowe definitely can reach that type of level, but give him a few more years to develop. Smith-Rowe's played in the German league, in the Championship. He's now getting his chance in the Premier League. He's doing very well. We'll see how it goes. I mean, what age is Bruno Fernandes now?
27, 28?
Yeah, so you're looking
26.
at... So, right, it was 26.
Still, yeah.
Smith-Rowe is 19. So if you were to say Emile Smith-Rowe goes out, say, on another loan, which I wouldn't want to see. I want to see him stay now at Arsenal and fully cement that spot, because that's what he deserves. But if he went out on loan to, say, another foreign club, because obviously Bruno played in the Portuguese league, he's played in a few other leagues as well, and he got that experience there. Yeah, he got the experience in Italy, he got the experience in Portugal, and now he's doing it in the Premier League. So what you'll notice is they gain their craft from these other leagues, and then use that experience from these to make their game the best that they possibly can. Look, hopefully he'll get as good, but we've still got another 7 years till he reaches that age and that maturity, which helps increase a midfielder's game, the knowledge of actually playing games.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I suppose since we're on the topic of Manchester United versus Arsenal, I'm coming to more kind of a fun part of the show. Joe, with regards to, I'm just going to, we've a comment in there from Jamie Gretton. Jamie Gretton's given his predicted lineup for Saturday. He's going to go with De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw, Fred, McTominay, Rashford, Fernandes, Pogba, Martial. Oh, Martial in there. Take Martial out of there, right? And you put in Cavani, and that's the same exact lineup I've actually predicted for this game. That's the same lineup I predicted. Martial is the only person that doesn't make that for me. We have another comment in for Evan Fahy before we get to the next part of the show. He's part of the weekly Armchair Kickoff Pro Clubs team, and he's now asking me, do not forget to promote the Pro Clubs team. So I may as well do it now. If you have FIFA 21 on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, contact me on Keane_United on Twitter, and you can join our weekly Armchair Kickoff Pro Clubs team because we're looking to replace Evan on the left-hand side of midfield. So by all means, if you play left midfielder or striker, please contact us, and we can get Evan's transfer sorted out. But anyway, and if you play centre half, we'll sign you too. But anyway, I know Evan's gonna go mad for that comment later on, but I did have to get that in there. Coming to obviously a kind of fun part of the show, because since we're kind of on the topic of Manchester United versus Arsenal, because it's the United show, we're not going to do combined 11s because we done that last night on the London show. If you missed that show, go check it out on the weekly Armchair Kickoff YouTube channel. We had a great panel of guests there last night. It was a very good show, getting the London view on kind of the Manchester United versus Arsenal game, and obviously it was a different panel altogether that was here last night. So do check that out. But now this topic, I'm interested to see Dylan and William's views on this, because obviously Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, look, it's no secret, two of them are the greatest managers in the history of the both clubs. Both of them had very long, both very, very long tenures at the club, both very successful at the clubs. Arsenal, certain Arsenal fans will diss Arsene Wenger. We all know who they are. They're reactionary people. But when you consider Arsene Wenger's overall legacy at Arsenal, I think me and Dylan would universally agree as United fans, we massively respect Arsene Wenger. He's done a great job at Arsenal, helped change the culture of English football. And, he's someone who I have a lot of admiration for. I remember when Arsenal fans were looking for Wenger to get sacked, I used to say to William in school back in the day, be careful what you wish for, because the man's created such a legacy. And he's a fantastic man, what he's done for the English game. In that respect. So I've went with kind of a kind of a good little topic for the two boys here tonight. So I threw a curveball, lads, an hour before the show. I said, for the Manchester United fans, between me and Dylan, we're going to pick an all-time Manchester United 11 from the Fergie era, and for William, he's going to pick an all-time Arsenal 11 from the Arsene Wenger era. But there's a twist. There's a twist in the tail here. Because usually, if you said the Fergie or Arsenal, Fergie or Wenger era, you could just pick the Invincibles, you could pick the 98 team, or if United side, you could pick the 08 team, you could pick the team that won the treble, you can maybe pick the team that won the league. You can even pick the double winning teams. But this topic has a twist. So for me and Dylan, we have to pick an all-time Manchester United 11 from the Alex Ferguson era, but we can only pick one. We can't have any players from the same country in the team. So for example, if we have one English player, for example, I'm just going to throw an example here. If I want an English player and I throw Rio Ferdinand, then I couldn't have Scholes or Rooney in the team. Then it's kind of, it goes that way, But I'm just giving that. I'm just giving that example, in terms of you can only have one player from the same country. So this could be interesting to see kind of how we come up with this team. And the same concept, William, from the Arsene Wenger era at Arsenal, he can only have one player from the same country too. So this is going to be interesting on both sides. So I'm actually going to give the floor to William first, because I'm interested to see this from his side of things with regards to it. So I'm going to give the floor to William, and we're going to get his team too.
No problem. And what I'll also say is, and this may surprise you, I've actually also done a Man United team in the exact same way. When I was looking at it under Sir Alex Ferguson, I was like, oh, okay, that looks interesting. Just to see off of my knowledge if I was going to be able to. But I'll discuss just the Arsenal team first. So in goal, I've got the crazy German, Jens Lehmann. Brilliant from the penalty spot in terms of saving penalties. Obviously, our goalkeeper in terms of the Invincibles, and a very solid goalkeeper during the time. You always felt pretty confident when he was in. Then in the back four, I have, again, from the Invincibles in terms of right back, Lauren. Very solid right back. In the centre back positions, I've gone for pretty much a strong core. Just in terms of the back line, I've gone to try and go very strong. Not much flair, just grit and determination. I've gone Tony Adams in terms of the English player I wanted to choose. I just feel like in terms of being a leader and a captain on the pitch, he was a player that I very much enjoyed watching just when I was very young, and I just feel he'd be a proper leader in the team. Next to him from Ivory Coast, I've got Colo Torre, because, well, how many players are from Ivory Coast that would play for Arsenal other than him and say like Adebayor, and he can go do one. Left back, I've gotten to keep on with my admiration, even though bollocks. Technically now I have gone off of the thing a little bit because I'm pretty sure he didn't play under Wenger. Oh well, left back is my one false bit in terms of this, but in terms of left backs, I couldn't think of many. I've just put our current left back, Kieran Tierney, because he would fit in under he would fit in under Arsene Wenger. Let's be fair. And at least to make up for it, I've got an entire Man United 11 that I can tell you after year one.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's fair. In the defensive midfield, I've gone like 4-4-2. So in the centre of midfield, for the bit of grit, I've gone Gilberto Silva in terms of Brazilian. So I felt like he was probably our best defensive midfielder in terms of breaking up play. He was very solid. I love that man. Next to him in the more creative side, I've put Cesc Fabregas. Again, under Arsene Wenger, properly showed what he could do. Again, most Arsenal fans don't like the way he ended his career with us, which was very sad in the way that he forced back through to Barcelona, putting on the Barcelona jersey before even the transfer was finished, which was extremely disrespectful. But you can't deny his quality as one of the best midfielders even the Premier League has even seen. And I know Shane Dowley will enjoy that one because he feels he's extremely underrated. Even his time at Chelsea, he was great. So on right midfield, I've gone my personal favourite player when I was a child. Former Arsenal manager for about three fixtures, Freddie Ljungberg. I went through a stage, even in primary school, to tell you how much I adored that man. I put red dye in my hair and had a mohawk.
Oh my God.
That's how much a kind of mohawk, when the middle bit was stuck up. Now, to be fair, we were in primary school. But I adored him that much that was there. On the left midfield, even though he plays more like a left winger also, this one will surprise you, Alexis Sanchez. When he first came to Arsenal, the quality that he had was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best players in the Emirates era for Arsenal. It's such a shame, not just how it ended, how he just seemed to drop tools and lose his love for football anywhere. Because he dropped tools, he played poorly for us, forced through his move, went to Yi, was absolutely dreadful for Yi, has gone to Inter Milan, he got a little bit of good form, but got a few injuries here and there, and you just don't hear of him. And it's such a shame considering what a talent he was, how it ended. And then the other two, the Dutch masterclass of Dennis Bergkamp, just the raw talent of that man and his strike partner, one of the best strikers the Premier League has ever seen, Thierry Henry.
Yeah, look, I think that front two is the easiest for you to pick out of the whole team. Obviously,
Even
I'm
though
actually shocked.
technically, because we had Henri, I couldn't put Vieira in, although I could have used the technicality that he was born in Senegal. But I didn't want to go in the technicality.
You should have taken. Do you know what? If that was me now, right? And that was me, and I had to make an excuse. I probably would have taken the moral high ground there and went with that. But look, it's fair enough. You went on kind of who they've represented.
Few honourable mentions in terms of my bench. Aaron Ramsey, the Welsh. Arshavin for his one season and scoring 4 against the Scousers. Thomas Rosicki, very underrated, but very good in our midfield. And just for the laughs, Nicholas Bentner.
Do you know what?
They're my bench. Like.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I actually do. I didn't even give us a criteria for a bench, but fair play to you for putting a bench. Dylan, me and you are going to make a team here, right? Between the two of us, we're going to make a team here. And me and you sometimes disagree on things, so I'm actually kind of excited to see if me and you can actually agree on an all-time United 11 for Alex Ferguson era and only one country. So I'm going to bring you back in. I'm going to unmute your mic here now, and we're going to get the ball rolling here, and we're going to see what team we're going to go with. So, Dylan, I think when you look at goalkeeper, I think Peter Schmeichel, Danish, he gets in 100%.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Right, perfect. Right back from only one country. Who's going in there?
Raphael, probably.
Raphael? Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah, Brazilian meets the criteria. Take that off. Centre halves.
Yapstam.
Netherlands, yeah.
Vidic,
Serbia. Yeah, I'll take that. Left back.
Patrice Evra.
French. Do you know what? Really, there's one big part of me that really wants to put Dennis Irwin in this team, but I can't leave out my namesake.
Yeah,
I can't leave out my namesake. My namesake's going in there. So, yeah, I agree. Evra, but shout out to Denny Irwin, class player. So what system we going actually? We'll go classic 4-4-2.
Yeah.
We go classic 4-4-2. So I think it's undisputed for me anyway. One of the centre midfielders is Roy Keane, Irish. Now this is where it's going to get hard. This is where it gets hard, midfield and forward line. So who's the other midfielder? The other centre mid. Scholesy. So he's our English player.
Yeah. Giggsy on the left.
Yeah, Welsh, yeah. On the right.
Ronaldo on the right.
Yeah. Up front, Ruud van Nistelrooy.
He's Dutch, so is Yapstam.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Dwight York and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Right. Yeah,
or Berbatov.
Right, let me think here. Obviously, yeah, you have the centre midfielder, Scholes and Keane. Yeah, give us that. Even though part of me really wants to put Wayne Rooney in there, but Scholes and Keane, it's can't dispute that. Like, I know Shane Dowley's going to have Rooney in his team for the English player. Yeah, the whole midfield I agree with anyway. That's undisputed. But up front, Dwight York's a good shout, actually.
And Solskjaer.
Yeah, our manager. Berbatov. He was like Berbatov. He was just like, he was class, weren't he? Like, he did like the one thing I want to bring up here, right? The way we talk about Martial and didn't have work rate, right? Berbatov didn't have work rate, but fuck me, his production. He just had class about him, didn't he? Like he was one of them strikers. You'd compensate for his lack of work rate because he was just so good. Do you know what I mean? So I'd throw a curveball at you. I know Dwight York was class in the treble winning season. I love Ollie, right? Ollie, I love you. I know you probably don't watch this podcast, but Ollie, I absolutely adore you, right? You're not starting in this team. You're a super sub for a reason. You're going to come off the bench and score the winner for us. I'm going Berbatov and Dwight York. I have to put Berbatov in that team, man. Because imagine him linking up with Dwight York. Imagine, like, you know, like I know we've seen Ronaldo on gigs with balls into him. But imagine Dwight York's little bit of work rate, Joe around Berbatov, because Dwight York can still slot into the 10 as well. Like, do you know what I mean? He often done that as well. They're my two. I go Dwight York and Berbatov. Would you settle for that?
Yeah. It's difficult
so
when
look,
you
I
have to
actually thought we
leave.
disagree.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Very
that was
close.
easy, Dylan. I wanted to have a debate there. Fuck's
No,
sake.
it's very
difficult when
similar.
you have to.
Yeah, William,
Sorry,
what's your
yeah.
team?
You had very similar to mine. So I had Schmeichel in goal. Now my defence, right back, I've put Gary Neville. Ironically, I know.
Fuck, he's your English player.
Yeah, I just fought for right back. You know, I know you said Raphael, but you know, I had Vidic, Stam, left back. I put Gabriel Heinze.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah, you can say fuck that, but that just leaves the French further up the pitch, like.
Who's that, Paul?
You know what I mean? No. So, yeah. The midfield, I've gone for Roy Keane. I've gone for Giggs. I've gone for Ronaldo. And another one, more attacking midfielder, Georgie Best. Northern Irish.
Not for Guerra, though.
Yeah. So in both teams, I've done one non-Ferguera player.
Okay, that's fair.
You know,
that's fair.
So
Yeah.
Best and Kieran Tierney on the Arsenal one.
Like,
and then I've got
Fergie's. I was thinking, like, Fergie's not that old. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's old. He's not that old, though.
I know, but I'd fit him in that team. And then the front two, I have Cantona, and I put Ollie next to him. But on the bench, I had Berbatov, another super sub, Chicharito, Park in the midfield. And just for a total piss take on the bench, I also wanted to put Lindelof.
Again, not signed by Sir Alex. William, you're breaking the criteria here, man. Anyway,
yeah, but it's Lindelof.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's very, very good teams. And again, I'm really surprised me and Dylan actually agreed on something. This is getting kind of trend. We're on Jimmy Williams' podcast. Shout out to Red Devil Talk. Me and Dylan were agreeing on every single point as well, and we're agreeing on stuff tonight. What 2021's a new year, lads? We're flying at the moment. But obviously, we're at the end of the show, coming up to literally 1 hour, literally perfect timing tonight. So most important part of the show, getting everyone's score prediction for the weekend. This part is always tongue in cheek. I gave my score prediction last night on the London show. I'm going to give a different score prediction on this show because my mind has actually changed in 24 hours with regards to the score prediction. So, first of all, I'm going to come to Dylan first with his score prediction. So, Dylan, hit us with your score prediction for tomorrow night.
I'm going to disagree now. I think Arsenal are going to nick it. I think it's going to be 2-1 Arsenal or 3-1 Arsenal. I can't see us winning the way Arsenal are playing at the minute and pressing. The way they're pressing so high up, I think we're going to try play out from the back and create some of our own problems. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong. I'm just calling this now. I'm just going to say this now. The last time a Manchester United fan on this show predicted a loss, Manchester United went on and beat PSG in the Champions League this season. Shane Dowley and Scott Murphy, I'm calling both of them out because they did do it on the show and they know they've done it. They both predicted 3 and 4-0 losses respectively. And then when they done that, Man United went on and bet PSG. So, Dylan, for all hope's sake, I hope you're wrong, brother. I really do hope you're wrong. Because, again, as I said, see this mobile phone? This game, you're not seeing who snapped me there. But if... your reaction, William, now you're making me laugh. But
Sorry.
Like, I'll show you the back of the phone, right? See this phone? If we lose this game, my phone's going into airplane mode because I have to obviously set my alarm for the work next morning. My phone's going into airplane mode. I'm not even going on my PlayStation for the night. I'm just going to sit in darkness if we lose this game tomorrow. Because I know Mr. Bryant below me will be in my DMs on both Facebook and wherever other social media site you can fucking get his hands on. And, Arsenal fans in general, And rival fans. I've gone on a bit of a tear on Twitter. If both of you follow me on Twitter, I've gone on a bit of a tear in the last 2 weeks on Twitter, and I've been kind of sent some abusive messages in my DMs recently, which I find hilarious because I know I'm kind of rattling people by even getting death threats and stuff like that. I think that's a bit too far. But look, again, when I'm slagging off certain clubs, club legends, and they're blocking me on Twitter, we all know who that man is. We're not going to give that man airtime because he's in the false position at the moment.
But John Pigeon Aldridge.
No, he hasn't blocked me yet. That man hasn't blocked me yet.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I think that's probably going to come soon, especially if they lose their next game. He's my next level of banter. But anyway, again, that phone is going into hiding tomorrow, as am I if Man United lose this game tomorrow. But William, I'm going to come to you. Your score prediction. How do you think this game is going down this weekend?
Part of me still thinks it could still be a 0-0 draw. There's a real possibility of that happening. Again, it depends how we set out, because I'm going to say a 2-1 victory to us. I'm pretty confident that we're going to score from the corner, where we always seem to be crowding the keeper, that you seem to struggle with against Sheffield United. Because we have the quality that we've been hitting the back post. He just had the player that's been getting onto it both times, being David Luiz, hasn't been able to put it in the net, and I can just see it actually working this time. Then I'm going to say a Rashford goal and then a third goal for us. But at the same time, I could also see United hammering possible if, ironically, if you play on the counter attack and if you attack the same way that you did against Liverpool in the FA Cup. I feel if you did that type of way, you can attack us the same way because of how high our right back and Kieran Tierney will be pushed up. But I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal anyway, because, support your club.
Yeah, absolutely. Support your club. Hear them. Practice what you preach. And Dylan, you listen to William there now as well. I'm only messing. Anyway, I've actually kind of changed my mind on the score prediction in terms of this. Last night I predicted a 2-1 Man United win. Tonight I'm putting my neck on the line here. I'm going to go 3-1 United tomorrow. I'm putting my neck on the line. I know this man down below me will call me out tomorrow if they beat us, especially about my score prediction. I'm going to go 3-1 United. I'm going to go with you might laugh at this from an Arsenal perspective, but I'm going to go with Rob Holding getting on the score sheet for Arsenal tomorrow from a set piece. And I'm going to go with Manchester United. I'm going to go with Paul Pogba getting on the score sheet for United, Mr. Marcus Rashford, and no, Dylan, it's not going to be a Martial hat-trick, for fuck's sake. And I'm going to go with, just for the haters out there, I'm going to go with a Bruno Fernandes goal, but it's not going to be from the penalty spot. It's going to be from open play, and it's going to shut people up. All these Liverpool fans and that Aiden fella, that Chelsea fan, who I've called out to him. I'm going to call him out live as well. How sickened must you fucking be? You posted this tweet 12 fucking months ago. How Bruno Fernandes flopped. You said save this fucking tweet. How stupid do you look now, brother? Fucking hell. You have you have the German Gabriel Obertan playing attacking midfield for you, Kai Havertz. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Imagine making a statement that Bruno Fernandes will be a shit player and you tell everyone to screenshot it. Just remember, Man United fans, we're not a forgetful fan base. We're really not. We're like elephants. We fucking remember everything. We document all this shit, all the slander. And then when the time comes, you get called out. This is the same thing. And again, I'd just like to shout you out because that was a fantastic tweet, which, just keep sending out tweets like that because we're going to remember this. And look, hopefully Man United go and get the result this weekend. That's kind of the main thing. But I just like to call out fans and their bullshit. I really, really do. And there's one thing as well for these fans as well. I'm going to address it at the end of the show now. Do you see all you fans sending all these players abuse sending Axel Tuanzebe abuse, sending Anthony Martial abuse, I even see Chelsea fans are sending Reece James abuse as well. Supposed fans of these clubs. You're not fans of these clubs. You're vile human beings. And what you do, you hide behind fake social media accounts, and you're abusing human beings. Not even football players, human fucking beings. Seriously, get a fucking grip of your lives. There's no room for that type of behavior in any life, never mind social media, in life itself. We're trying to, like, you look at the message these players are trying to spread in terms of getting racism out of the game. We need to get racism out of the world. And see all these little dickheads, because that's what I'm going to call them, dickheads, who are out there, giving these players abuse, who are human. And we're all in a world where we all promote mental health. Like, mental health is really important, especially we're going through a tough time in lockdown. Like, these players are human too. Just because they earn a large salary and they play on a global stage doesn't mean that these players don't have feelings too, and these players can't be affected mentally by all this abuse. Cop the fuck on and get a grip of your lives, and just get rid of this disgusting behavior. I hope the social media starts making the change now, and these fake accounts can get exposed, because it's needless to say that we're living in 2021 now. We should still not be seeing this bullshit. I think that both lads will echo my feelings here in terms of these parasites who are spreading this abuse, because that's what they are. They're fucking parasites. And at the end of the day, there's no room for it. And see, like, people, United fans abusing their own players, there's no room for that. Any fan abusing their own players. I think if William, if it was an Arsenal fan, done that to any of Arsenal's players, William would be echoing the same thoughts as I would right now, So, look, there's no room for it. And all these fans, I don't care. If these fans, supposed fans, if you follow me on Twitter and you're abusive, unfollow me, because we don't want that negative energy. We're all supportive of our clubs, and we all should behave in an appropriate way. So, look, I enough said about that in terms of all these fools on social media. But lads, thanks very much to the both of you for coming on this evening. It's been a fantastic show. Thanks to Zeki as well for coming on. He texted me. He said he had to jump off. And so, look, that's absolutely fine. Look, it's been a fantastic show. Even though I know you probably won't wish it to me, but best of luck tomorrow in the game, because, look, it is a big rivalry. And look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, it's a game of football at the end of the day. Like, we slag each other for whatever amount of days during the week, but at the end of the day, it's 90 minutes where both our teams are playing. And in this COVID environment, we should be grateful that we're getting the game of football on our screens, even though we hate, once in 90 minutes are on, we hate each other's guts. Because even though when William sat beside me in the Stretford end in Old Trafford, there was we still had that common respect. I think all fans should have that anyway, regardless of rivalry or who you support or any of that crack. But look, thanks to the two lads for coming on. And just to let all our viewers know, obviously, look to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Next week, I announced it today on the weekly Armchair Kickoff Twitter page. We have a new show coming up. So we do have an all-female football podcast coming next week. Rachel, who is in the comments today, she will be on the show. Amy from She Devils United will also be on the show. Becca Lass from Stretty News. William's mother, actually, Jennifer Bryant, is also on the show as well. And look, we will have other female contributors on the channel as well. So we will literally have a lot of stuff covered on that show. That show will be covering all things Premier League, and obviously, with regards to it, it's not going to be Manchester United based like this show or the London show will be. This show is going to be covering all things Premier League, all things football, and obviously all of these new members of the panel, they will all have their own allegiances with the clubs. But as always, it always is an unbiased environment. It always is an unbiased environment when we are on this channel. Even though, again, as I say, me and Dylan sometimes kill each other, but it's all in good faith. It's all in good faith. So look, do check that out, and that promises to be a very good show. And look, Devil's Advocate will be back next week. I am joined by the great Phil Brown next week, where we will be chatting all things Manchester United, and we will be doing a review on the Arsenal game, myself and Phil. So do check that out, because that is going to be a great show. I always like having Phil on the show, and like, he actually recently interviewed Luke Shaw today on Beyond the Pitch. So if you're a Manchester United fan and you're you're a fan of this show, do go to Beyond the Pitch. Check out Phil Brown's interview over there with Luke Shaw. I watched it today on my lunch break. Absolutely great interview, and Luke Shaw does open up about kind of the comparisons between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Mourinho's tenure as managers, and kind of talking about United's current form. So do check that out, because that was a fantastic interview. But again, look, thanks to all three of the lads who came on tonight. It was a good show tonight. Really enjoyed it. And look, as always, we'll be back next week with more content. And just like to sign out and say, come on, United, let's get these fucking 3 points. Let's fucking do it. But thanks everyone for watching, and look, we'll be back next week.